Hey there, YouTube. I'm going to be making a slew of TrendSpider videos. So recently they had a hackathon, and they've also been delivering a couple of one really exciting new feature that I've been playing around with, and it's just been I haven't giggled in a long time over anything in technology, just because I guess I've been in the industry as a software engineer for almost 2 decades now, and I'm not gonna say like I've seen it all, but I've seen quite a lot. And after a while, things aren't as exciting as when you first start out in the tech space. But this definitely made me giggle because TrendSpider's platform, if you've never used it, yes, it's a charting platform very similarly to others, the Thinkorswim. TradingView, I don't know, is really a fair comparison just because TrendSpider has a lot more extraneous data baked into the platform. And one space that TrendSpider really shines is the way that you can integrate all of the data together. So, for example, you have you have the what's happening now area, which brings together earnings, analyst estimates, insider trades, institutional trades, unusual options, Congress trading, or news. It's like just so much stuff. Dividends, splits. I mean, it goes on and on and on. I apparently see NBC recommendations. Like, there's so much in this platform that it's a little bit overwhelming, even. And I'm pretty darn technical, so they have the ability to create market scanners, no code scanners, and this is basically, if you're not a coder, you can come in here, and it's a little tedious. I'm not gonna lie, like, because there's so much here, and they've continued to add keystroke combos for you to, like, I'm sure the people that work at TrendSpider can blaze through this no problem. But being that I don't work there, it's like I got to come back and relearn it because they keep adding so many amazing new things. So yeah. Anyways, so this platform is so crazy, and one of the last things they added is called, and it's what I'm making this video on, is Sidekick. So Sidekick is a AI LLM, large language model integration into their platform. So I've been experimenting with it, and it's in beta currently. But basically, you're given, I think, 10 tokens for the basic plan. All the different plans they have, you'd have to go check it out. But you get like 10 tokens by default with your plan when you sign up for TrendSpider. And again, because of all the data they have integrated, when you ask the LLM any of your questions regarding trading, the market, whatever, it can pull all of that information. And so it takes a little bit of trial and error, of course, just like all these other LLMs, ChatGPT, Grok, Claude, all the different ones. They all have their quirks, and there's prompt engineering tricks and whatnot are all applicable here, because as you can see, these are utilizing very much standard language models. Claude 3.7 or 4, Gemini 2.5, and then I don't have these, but GPT-4, 4.1, and 5. So these are all pretty basic, widely used models. They're good, good models. And then somewhat humorously, you can pick a personality. So I have not tried all of these yet. Karen is brutal. But the one that I like, and it's one I kind of stuck with for now, is Simon the Data Dude. So the I'm going to give you the background here. So the background here is that I have a trade on. I'm going to see. I think I can just minimize this. Yeah, I have a trade on IBM. So I have IBM, which it's a call credit spread. So I'm short IBM mainly because we have a quarterly gap zone here that was a good pivot, and we kind of broke that down. And I've got some other indicators I released for the TrendSpider hackathon, one of them being this cloud indicator. And I also have this one down here, triple Scotch. And so I'm just kind of playing around with all this stuff that I submitted for the hackathon. And I kind of liked what I saw for potential short trade. So I got a call credit spread on IBM. And of course, there's risks to trades of any kind. And IBM specifically, it's got its fingies in a lot of things, quantum AI and chips and all kinds of stuff. So at the time, the market was coming down, and this seemed like a good one to try this out on. So I opened up TrendSpider Sidekick, and I kind of gave it my situation. And I said to the thing, I said, hey, I've got this IBM call credit spread. I gave it my strikes. And I just, basically asked it, like, what are some things that I should look out for? And long story short, it blew me away with some of the stuff that it pulled out. And so I think it was this one right here. Now, this is in beta. It did lose, I'm quite sure, it lost my original prompt. This was like halfway in, but basically the strikes on my call credit spread is 255. So I am short IBM at 255. I'm not going to go into too much technical details about the options, but let's just say I'm short 255, and I have protection at 260. So it's a $5 wide spread. So when you sell a call, it's short. If you didn't have one already. So somebody paid me, and then I bought the protection at 260. So I told Simon, the data dude, what this trade was that I had on. The expiration date is for October 17th. I opened this late August, and gave it that information. And so it's like going out and searching for all the data that TrendSpider has. So they've coded it to have access to all this. And so here it's like, hey, here's a unusual options activity for IBM, and it starts talking about notable put activity and indicating significant put buying activity around 245, 247 range, aligns with my short thesis. It's talking about short term, et cetera, et cetera. And then it starts talking about long-term bearish positioning and looking at the premiums, the dates. So just really neat. And then Simon goes out and whips up some graphs for me, which is why I've been sticking with Simon, is because I noticed Simon's very chart happy, which aligns to my mentality. And looking at sweeps between put and calls, and this is just so cool. Like this is showing you the price of IBM. So here's the price axis and the dates and the various put activities. So this is so cool. Talking about institutional trades, resistance levels, just all this stuff. And then of course, every time you use one of these, at the bottom of the responses, which only use one token, doesn't matter how expensive it is, it's only using one of the tokens of the 10 you get per month. Then you get the helpful idea at the end of the prompt, like what you could do moving forward. And so I went ahead and said, hey, let's look at, I think this was one from a prior message, which sadly doesn't load anymore, but it was examine the volume profile at key price levels. And so it went and pulled, I don't know how much chart history, did all this analysis for volume, and Java Updater apparently wants to do something, go away. And it, again, Simon, he loves the charts, so he's whipped up this volume profile aligned a chart here. So looking at volume distribution by price level. And then, of course, Simon remembered my trade and that I was short the 255 call strike. So he plops down my short call strike on the volume profile chart. And this is where I was starting to giggle, because if you've ever used the LLMs, they just, they're forgetful, even though they're a machine and they've got access to all this information. It's difficult to get them to stay on task. I've been using them off and on, trying to, make things simpler, but they tend to make things more difficult in the end, and then I just drop them. But in this case, as you can see, it remembered the whole reason I started this chat. And so here it's plopping my short strike down, at the heaviest volume level. So very insightful piece of information for me. So as being short-sighted on the short-sighted, being on the short side of IBM at this strike, this is the heaviest volume. So I would expect this to act as resistance. And there's not much else here. If it blows through this, then it's probably going to bounce into this area. So it's so insightful, so helpful, and it's so rare to see tech done so well, and actually save me time. That's the thing, is like I can go and do this myself. I can go and look at volume profile and I can deduce the same thing, but I did not have to. So this is so cool. And daily volume analysis at key levels. So again, here's another chart showing the price of IBM. Here's my short strike again, that this adds to the chart for me. Very helpful, showing me that multiple days, pretty much all of August, we're under 255 strike. Here's the volume, and it's color coded. I guess that would be one thing, is I don't necessarily know what all the colors mean, so that would be nice to see a little update there, but I doubt that's TrendSpider. That's going to be a Claude thing, so whatever, it's okay. And then you get more breakdown for the volume analysis. Total volume, 40 million shares traded at the 255.60 range. Again, it knows that's my long hedge strike for the short 255 call. And it talks about, again, post earnings. So it's not even just doing volume analysis. It's analyzing and creating a narrative based off of all the other data. And it's aware of earnings I'm assuming because of TrendSpider's data integrations to Claude. Every time it's accumulating this data and integrating it across the breadth and depth of everything TrendSpider has, it's tying it all back together into a narrative. So this is just so powerful. If you're somebody that's trading swing trades, options, even just regular shares trades, I mean, this is so much like a game changer, at least for me. Like, I'm so excited for this. So I could talk about this all day. I'm just trying to find the highlights, and it's so hard because this is all just so crazy. So yeah, here, implications for your call credit spread. Strong technical barrier at 255. The volume profile confirms your short strike at 255 is protected by a significant resistance barrier with the highest volume profile over the past 60 days. Okay, so here's, and I'm glazed over some of this because there's a lot here, which I'll touch on in a minute. But so now we know that it's looked at 60 days, so 2 months worth of volume data to find out this information. So that's great. Multiple resistance layers. Before reaching your short strike, the price would need to overcome resistance at 245, 250 first. Okay, so warning signals, because this was the other thing. I'd asked this a while back. Again, it doesn't show it here, unfortunately. I wish it did, but I asked it to provide some things to look for to manage my trade. Because again, I'm testing this, but what should I look for as a potential, like, ooh, I need to start managing this trade, or maybe just close it out for a small loss or something. And so this is what it's telling me. It's like, if volume suddenly increases on a move above 250, suggesting institutional buying, because they're the only ones that are going to be able to break the volume profile technical barrier. That's me saying that. I'm guessing as to why it would say that. If price breaks above 250, closes there on above average volume. So yeah, it kind of said the same thing. Consider the 247, 250 zone as your early warning management level. If the stock moves into this zone with increasing volume, it may signal increasing risk to your position. Okay, so now I had this conversation with Simon on August 28th. All right, so let's minimize this. So this is the other thing that's I find very nice. I can minimize this pain. I don't lose my place as long as I don't refresh the browser tab. And now it's September 6th when I'm recording this video. Okay, so the trade that I put on, I'm going to pull up my trading account here. I'm pretty sure I said the 27th. Yeah, so the 27th. So let's find August 27th. Right here. So there's August 27th. And I shorted 255. Let me find it. Just outside the cloud. All right, there we go. Great. And then 260 is so this is my trade. So this is when I put this on. So now Now I can come back here on September and basically just, look and see, do I need to worry about anything according to what Simon said on the 28th, right? He's saying, hey, let's look and see if price moves above 250 with heavy volume, because that's an institutional buying signal, which I would tend to agree. Heavier volume is going to be definitely institution, not retail. And so far we're below the average. So we're below the 20 rolling average. So that's four weeks of 5 business days. So it's a month on the trading calendar. And I don't see much to be concerned about right now. I was a lot happier when we were down here, and I could have closed for about, I think it was around 40% profits, but I decided to hold. Market has had some decent relief, I'd say the past week or so. So we're starting to see a little bit of that. But so I'm looking at this, and we're still pretty bearish for this triple stotch here, which I'll have a video published on that. You can go watch that. So yeah, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to look and see. I'm going to look out for what Simon says to look out for. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep running this experiment. It's not a lot of moolah. So then I asked it to look at implied volatility. Now I have no clue how it calculated implied volatility, because as far as I know, for unusual options on TrendSpider, I don't think they have Greeks yet. I know they talked about that they were going to have it. That doesn't mean you couldn't do Black-Scholes calculations, which it's going to be an estimate at best. But yeah, so somehow it's calculated, or maybe they've given it extra special options data. I don't know, but somehow it's done this implied volatility analysis, and this was another example prompt that you could just click, which then it says do such and such, and same thing. It's showing me the implied volatility. Now, the thing that it does call out, and I totally agree with, is that the volatility is somewhat at a low point, and my entry date, which it doesn't have at the right point, because I said the 27th, so it should be over here. Maybe I didn't. I'm pretty sure I did. But anyways, it's got a short strike here, and it's kind of just saying like, hey, maybe maybe your implied volatility might not be, too bad. Yeah, so yeah, declining volatility trend is highly favorable to your call credit spread strategy. As IV continues to contract, the time value of the options decreases faster, accelerating the rate. Yep. So IV crush. So let's see here. Yeah, so it's a lot of different things. Lots of different things. So this has just got so many implications for how to trade moving forward, for me at least. Looking at this, so it's just some crazy stuff. So let's see. Okay, yeah, this was the other big one, which immediately had me wanting to create a new indicator in TrendSpider for this, but they do not have this institutional, the 13F data available yet for indicators on TrendSpider, so they're working on that. It just needs an API call, which is already there, but it's not accessible to indicators. But Simon has it, so that's good. And Simon's showing me that there are several noteworthy patterns, he says, that give me some additional insight. And so major institutional positioning post-earnings. So post-earnings, they had, which we can turn on. Yeah, we can turn earnings on. So they had earnings here. I thought it told us what the earnings was. But anyway, so, here's the earnings big dump. So that's the one it's talking about. And we see major buyers. So 1.2 bill on the buy. Of course, this skew is a little weird. 1.1 billion on the sells. And then they even show you the institutional moves, like which institutions were buyers and which were sellers. Like, so cool. So you can take the big banks, Goldman, Wells Fargo, etc. So really cool here. Mixed positioning, which I would agree. Like, you got a lot, like this one is canceling out this one's canceling out this one's canceling out this one. Even these two big ones, this one's basically canceling out this one. So it's almost like, yeah, it's mixed. They do say slightly bullish, which is probably down to purely the fact that There's like this one that's unopposed. Every other one has an oppositional order. So that's pretty interesting. They talk about timing activity most immediately after earnings, and that activity tapered afterwards. So very neat, right? So you get all this 13F stuff. And then again, what to watch for. So really neat. Yeah, unusual block trade alerts, early profit taking if volume drops further, which maybe I should have done. I didn't actually see that part. So all this is great. So you really got to check this feature out if you have TrendSpider. If you don't, definitely check out a trial and just try this thing out for a week. Really cool. So the thing that I noticed is, so I put all this together, and I started building out kind of a bulk set of questions that I would want to ask anytime I was going to put on an option trade for anything. Doesn't matter what it is. Right? It could be Qs, SPY, Microsoft, any of the Mag 7 stocks, you name it. I had a set of questions that I wanted to ask this thing now that I knew all the different things it could ask or it could provide me information on and how it could tie it all together. Well, I learned that the prompt space down here is, I would say, very nice for probably a ton of things, but it does have a limit. Somebody, James from the TrendSpider team, actually mentioned that you can come in here to the Sidekick settings and add a custom prompt. So what I did was I said, anytime I ask for TradeSeeker's option swing report, provide me this, and I've got just all this stuff, right? So now I got to show you this so you could see it in real time because it's just so cool. Well, let's find an interesting chart. Let's look at Qs. Yeah, let's do Qs. I think I already did this recently, but let's do it again. Why not? Okay, so I'm going to start a new chat here. Simon the Data Dude. Everything else is good. And I'm just going to say, a TradeSeeker's options swing report. Done. And this is going to do so many things. And it does take a little bit of time. Yeah, so first thing it does is it downloads the chart. So it actually can download your chart that you've configured right on the TrendSpider platform. Okay, and then it's going to fetch history and relative performance. So it's going to look at SPY, it's going to look at Qs, and then of course because I'm on the Qs, it's already looking at that. So that would be a little bit more useful if you were, say, trading Microsoft or the Mag 7 or even other names. It doesn't matter. But yeah, so it's going to do relative performance. So it still could be useful to look at SPY relative to Qs or vice versa. So it's doing that. The whole idea of this is 45-day window trade, options trade, and I have limited it to butterfly trades, I believe condors, call or put credit spreads, all that kind of stuff. So it's analyzing the indicators on the chart. So I've got the cloud, I've got quarterly gap zones, triple stotch, I got volume. Okay, and so it's telling me a little bit about just the chart. It's showing strong volume and cloud support exists between 520 and 540. So let's just take a look. Okay, maybe. Not sure I would have picked 520 and 540, but all right. Immediate support at 570 level. Now that I would agree with because that's basically the kind of the top of the cloud. Not too shabby there. Triple stochastic RSI shows weakening momentum with current readings. Fast 12, 8 slow, and 79 slowest, indicating overbought conditions beginning to roll over. I would also mostly agree with that. I don't know that it understands these numbers, but it has been rolling over. That much I can say. The slow stotch has started to come down. Slowest has done its crossover, and the fast is below 50. So we're all kind of crammed down there for those two. So yeah, that's all right. I'm kind of in agreement with that. Maybe not 100%, but definitely overbought, especially considering we've got about a month solid of this particular price range. Okay, great. So unusual options activity analysis of recent options activity shows significant action concentrated around the 575 strike price. That makes sense. So showing huge amount of calls, 575. Key observations, heavy call buying, 575 strike, suggesting bullish sentiment. Notable put volume at 570, indicating traders are hedging downside risk. Large institutional blocks purchased September expiration. So 570 puts, 638,000 premium. Long dated calls for 2027, 630, showing significant premium. Unusually balanced put call ratio compared to recent weeks. Very cool. Okay. Nice little pie chart there. Thanks, Simon. Major institutional moves. Goldman Sachs added 15 million shares, 8 billion. Jane Street reduced. Okay. Overall, institutions show net buying sentiment. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, I could read all this, but volume profile, market context, institutions, unusual options, directional thesis. So here's where, and then, yeah, market context and news. So we got a little bit of economics in here. So we got Trump tariff stuff, gold, Fed rate cuts, expectations, and jobs data. So that's in here as well as part of my report prompt that I have created for this thing. Now, this is where it gets really cool, is that I told it, with all of that information, provide me with some trade ideas. So, and then filter it down to a handful of typical options, swing trades that I like to do. So, based on technical and options data, Qs appears poised for short-term pullback, followed by renewed strength over the 45-day horizon. So, let's give us a little projection. Primary scenario, I've also told it to list out probabilities. 60% probability that Qs pulls back to test 565, 570 support zone before resuming its upward trend, potentially reaching new highs in the 590 and 600 range by mid-October. So this will be really cool to do an update video on this to see kind of how this plays out. This scenario aligns with institutional buying patterns, okay? And then alternative scenario, 40%. Very good that those equal 100 when accumulated. Deeper correction to 550, 555 range if market concerns about economic growth intensify, etc. Okay, great. So it gives you there's probabilities. And here is where it breaks down, which is so cool. Breaks down the spread trade ideas. So broken wing butterfly is one that I love to do. And then it gives you the structure. And I've asked it, specify the expiration date, specify the strikes, provide the profit and loss. All this stuff I asked it to do. And it has been doing it every single time when I say, give me my report. So this is really cool. You get your max loss, you get your break even. And some of these values can be slightly different just based on when you ask this question. And also brokerages, things move in the market, obviously sometimes very fast. So by the time you get this report, especially if it's like a weekend review, like what I'm doing right now, it could be by the time the market opens on Monday that these strikes don't make sense, whatever. And obviously it should be noted, none of this that you're seeing here is a recommendation for any kind of trade. So this is all purely educational, reviewing Sidekick. And I'm just sharing my enthusiasm for what's going on in here. So looking at all this anyway, so you get that idea. You get a put credit spread. Very simple. Sell a put, buy a put. Again, max profits, max loss, probability of profit. So you get all this stuff, iron condors. And it even gives you a little chart with the P&L, the risk graph. I mean, just killer stuff. You get all this. Now, they're not interactive charts. That's all right. I think this is fine. And then, you get risk assessments. So really cool. You get Fed rate decision. We got one coming up here, September 17th to the 18th. Could cause significant volatility. It probably will. Strategies, position expiration dates to manage this risk. So all of what Simon is saying is that all of the expirations that were chosen here were adjusted with that in mind. So really cool to see. Like, one thing I notice is that trades with the max loss looks like kind of around the higher end have a little bit less time. And my guess is that's probably in the attempt to have the trade work quicker, because you usually buy more time than you need or sell more time than you need. You receive more credit, and you usually can get out for 50% well before whatever event it is you're trying to spread the risk out against. And then based on the spread type too, you might have more or less time. So this is really cool to see this thing doing that. And I mean, yeah, it's even saying like exit at 40%, like close at 50%. So really neat. Close position by September 20th, regardless of profit loss. Just so flipping cool. So yeah, you get quarterly OPEX, a little heads up here, calendar event, PPI. This is going to be a massive part of my trading moving forward. I don't see how I couldn't do it. So I think that's going to be it, folks. If you have questions, if you have anything you want me to try for you, below some of my chat credits for you to get kind of an example for whatever, let me know. Ask your question in the comment section. You can also reach out on X or the TrendSpider Discord. You can join my Discord. It's completely free to join. There's a floor there for everybody to talk, and I will definitely answer any questions you have if you join my Discord, or anywhere else. But I'll probably see it on my Discord first. That's where I'm at most of the time. And yeah, so as always, thank you for watching. Happy trading, and if you check out this, please do let me know.